You for joining us here today. As we say, also a big thanks to Sullivan Show Supply, family owned and operated company, founded in 1989, innovative leader in livestock show supplies. Sullivan Supply will keep the values of hard work, family ties, and quality products in the core. And we want to say thanks also to Superior Farms, as proud to be the sponsor of the National Western Stock Show. We invite you to see more on how they can help your family farms, as see their video at superiorfarms.com. And we also, as just moments away from getting kicked off here this morning. Well, if your family and friends are unable to be here at the National Western Stock Show presented by Common Spirit, have them tune in live at ringsidelive.co on the World Wide Web, and they can watch live here today. Well, good morning to you and welcome to the National Western Stock Show here this morning. As presented by Common Spirit. As we get things kicked off this morning, we're going to start with the invocation. So if you would, please pause with me and let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we just pause mindful and thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon us. Lord, as we gather here today, we just want to thank you for the opportunities that we can highlight these amazing animals and to be able to join right here as we feed America. Lord, we ask that you be with our men and women and nations abroad that fight for our freedoms that we share as Americans, and we ask that you bring them home safe and soon. And most off, we want to thank you for the greatest gift of all, your Son, Jesus Christ. In his name I pray. Amen. Thank you, folks, for joining us here today as we kick things off for our Prospect Heifer feeder class. Joining us here today is our judge, Skylar Scott of Nevada, Missouri. Grew up raising family cattle and goats with his family. He was an active member in the 4-H and FFA, judged livestock at the collegiate level. Skylar currently resides in Lubbock, Texas, where he's the livestock judging coach and a PhD student studying ruminant nutrition at Texas Tech University. Coming into the ring, class number one. Class number one coming in as Jaden Forgetto, Prospect Heifers, Sweet Chicks. That is back number 81310, show weight 608. J.W. Burgett showing winner. Keith Page showing Penzi. Lawrence Patton and Brendel Lane showing Pixie. And Kara Bremer is showing heifer number 3. So again, thanks for joining us here at the National Western. I want to say thanks to Andis, proud sponsor of the National Western Stock Show. From clippers to education, Andis is here to support top-notch grooming, fitting, and every champion, letting you celebrate the best of livestock and clipping excellence. Again, this is class number 1. If you are joining us on the web, be sure and tune in live this morning. I want to say thanks to our partners at ringsidelive.co. If your family's not here to watch, they can take a look there. We are currently in class number 1, a show weight 608 to 697. Thanks to John Deere, the official agriculture and turf equipment provider of the National Western Stock Show. Visit your local John Deere dealer for great deals now. And remember, nothing runs like a deer. Big thanks to Common Spirit. Be sure and check them out as our presenting sponsor here today at the National Western Stock Show as mountain.commonspirit.org on the World Wide Web.
Well, good morning to those of you around ringside. A pleasure to be out here, and I'm really looking forward to today. Anytime you get to come and judge in Denver and step foot in this new historic arena, it's a pretty neat experience and a great opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I tell you what, if this first class is any indication of what we got coming on later in the day, it's going to be a really, really good show. A lot of quality from top to bottom all the way through, and I'm excited to see what today brings in both divisions that we're going to work with this morning. Great set of young people, too, on top of it. So once again, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to it. Good set of cattle, and I'll be honest with you, I thought probably boiled down to a top 3 in this class, and we lap them that last time. I'm really comfortable in using this orange Brockle here to start off with. She's the best at the ground, and that's the most important for me. I thought she had big feet. She's got a little extra length to her hip, and that allows her hind leg to get out and stride the longest. And still, when you step in behind the cattle, this thing has got a really big, nice, bold rib cage laid in her. She's stout in her upper hip and carries that all the way to the ground. From a balance standpoint, she's not the deepest flanked in this particular class, but I think in maturity, in time, I think when she does mature, she'll belly down no problem. I really like just the stoutness she has through her head. She lays flat in her shoulder, and her feet point straight ahead up front. Balanced image, extra power, and a good hind leg. I'm really confident in that one to lead off. Congratulations to you. Really out there pieces in the black and white female here in second. She's the highest in her next set. She's really boxy in her kind. She's really square in terms of her hip, and I like the stoutness of her hind leg. Standing still, I read the angles of her structure to be very good. My problem is when we take a lap, I read her hind leg to hit the hardest of our top 3. She's just a little short and restricted in the way she strides. I think long term, I don't know if she's just got the extra length and flexibility built into her skeleton like the one that starts off with. Thought she had more power pieces. I thought her balance was better from the side than the one that comes in 3. Heifer that comes in 3, her hip and her hind leg in motion is very, very good. She's got more reach. She's got more stability there built into her rear foot. I still think from the side she represents a moderate power cow kind of a look. My problem with this one starts up front. She's a little short and dish in her face. She's a little frail in her jaw. And then as you work back, she wants to shrug her neck in. When she goes in motion, she tilts forward in the angle of her blade. And then as you study her, I'd like to modify her and just set her down in her tail head just a shot, but I thought her running gear, I thought her center body bulk was enough to get around the heifer that comes in next. Heifer that comes in next, so the young lady's got a good project here, and I think this one gets better with time. She's sound, she's really stout in her structure, she's long-sided and good in her lines. She gave up the most of her initial group in this particular set from a power standpoint. I read her the flattest in her rib and naturally the flattest through her stifle, and the way she tracks away, I'd like to give her just a shot more belly from her navel back into her flank. Got a pair of cattle here we round out with, a pair of exhibitors that are doing a really nice job. Certainly not short on power. The white-footed one here, moderate, really dense in terms of her makeup. I need a stout in her structure relative to her mass up high and just square up in her hip and hind leg. And the young man's got a beautifully presented one here. I think she's just got an injury on her back right foot. I'd like to see that one just go a little bit better in motion. But a great way to start off our day. Let's congratulate those exhibitors with a nice round of applause around ringside, if you will, please.
So class number 2 is coming in the ring as a feeder weight between 716 and 799. Genevieve Williams is showing Ellie, birth date 3/11/2025. Emma Ward from Chiffin is showing a heifer, birth date May 7th. And Lena Crumley, White China, a birth date of 4/15. Then Ashton Smeltzer is showing Scotty, birth date 3/16. Tinley Bivens is showing Baldy, birth date March 25th. And Jamie Vinton is showing Rizzo, birth date of 3/6. This is class number 2, Prospect Heifers feeder. Official results of Prospect Heifer Class number 1. First place is going to be Kara Bremer, showing Heifer number 3. Second place, that is going to be Keith Page, showing Pixie. Third place is going to be Lauren Spat. And then fourth is Brenda Lane, showing Pixie. Fifth place, Jaden Frigetto is showing Sweet Cheeks. And sixth place is J.W. Burgett, showing winner. Congratulations, class number 1. Again, class number 2 in the ring. We'll say thanks to our partners at Saunders Construction, locally founded in 1972, now one of the largest and most stable construction companies in Colorado. Saunders offers well-paid positions with opportunities for career growth. Visit at www.saunders.com for more information on career opportunities.
This is a tough class here, and it takes me a second just to kind of get my bearings. I'm really comfortable in the way they line up, but we've got every shape and size you can imagine here represented in these 6 head. And I think a lot of quality throughout this particular set. Ultimately, for me, I'm most comfortable with the heifer that starts at the ground. Not only is she the soundest, and she builds up with the best angles to her structure, she's got the best feet underneath of her, and still, I think that allows her to balance the best parked from the profile. On top of that, I think in terms of structure, I like her the best there, but in terms of balance, that's a long-necked, good female in the way she ties her neck to the top of her shoulder. She's got length and strength to her top line, and when you get around behind her, she's deceiving. She packs some real punch right through the center part of her rib. She's stout in her upper hip, and she's got some shape through her quarter and stifle. I think a power female that represents a lot of quality. I thought her hip and her hind leg was just better than her contemporaries in this class and needed to start. The heifer in second's got some intriguing pieces, and I wanted to tie in this one because she's stouter structured. She's a little longer neck, she's a little shorter backed, and she's still got a good turn to her rib. I think my problem with this female comes off of either end. I study her up front. She wants to come in at her knee, and then she splays out just a little bit in terms of her front toes. And then as you study her back here from behind, I read her as a shorter hip female that wants to kick up in her tail head just a shot, and then she doesn't set her hind leg down quite as soft or with quite as much reach as our class winner as we set these cattle into motion. But I thought that female offered a lot of just really unique pieces. She's more refined and more feminine than the cattle here on either side of her in first and third. Kind of the roan female here that comes in third is not short on power. This is one big, husky middled, really big top, thick-ended type of a female that's got some really big feet and some big pieces. Wish she tied them just a little bit better. And my problem is with this heifer up front, a little open in her shoulder. She wants to just kind of splay out in terms of her front feet, and then when you set her in motion, hits her hind leg just a nickel hard for me. The orange heifer here that comes around next, from the profile shot, when they're standing still, I like her a lot. She's really good right through the center part of her rib. She's deep and bold in her heart, and back into her rear rib and flank is extremely good. High-necked, really stout-headed, got pieces that are there. Hind leg didn't want to sit down, just the best for us today. I thought her feet were just a little just tight when they sat down. I wanted her to relax her in her ankle and square up right there in terms of hock to ground as they go away. I really like this blaze face female here that comes in next. Probably a little softer centered and a little more maternal looking than the cattle that were a couple spots ahead. For me, as we study these in motion, she's the tightest spine. She's the tightest off of both ends of her skeleton. I like her to come equipped with just a shot more bone and natural feature. I really like kind of the silver heifer that rounds out the class in terms of her front 1/3. High-necked, really good-headed. She's got a lot of power right through the center part of her body. For me, as we study her, she's the shortest hip. She's the frailest in her hind leg, and she hits her hind leg just a little hard as the cattle circle. Another good class, a lot of challenge all the way through, but good cattle represented 1 through 6. Nice job.
That was class number 2 in our Prospect Heifers feeder. Our next class is class number 3, show weights 800 to 853. So we welcomed into the arena Jinx Hines showing socks, Nicholas Rimsa showing 808, Ian Madden, Bristol Guines showing Holly, LCC Show Team, Razzle Dazzle, Hema Facet showing Cardi, Jet Jameson showing Maple, and Case Chamberlain showing Dolly. Official results of class number 2. First place is going to be Lena Crumley on White Cayenne. Birth date 4/15 and show weight 760. Second is going to be Emma Ward showing Chiffin as a May 7th heifer. Then third place, that is going to be Jamie Vinton on Rizzo, birth date of March 6th. Fourth place is going to be Ashton Smelser showing Scotty. Birth date is March 16th. Then fifth is Tinley Bivens showing Baldy. Birth date of March 25th. And sixth is Genevieve Williams showing Ellie. Birth date of March 11th. Class number 3 coming into the show ring. As we say thanks to our partners at the Colorado Farm Show, as our tradition continues with the Colorado Farm Show taking place in Island Grove Park in Greeley, January 27, 28, 29, approximately 300 ag-related exhibitors, 3 days of seminars and more. Admission is free. and parking is $5 to raise fund to support youth in agriculture through scholarships. Visit ColoradoFarmShow.com.
We really turned the heat up in this class, and I think a lot of quality all the way through. Very, very comfortable. And the one that I lead off with here to start, I really like a yellow roan heifer that's built and presented like this, and just represents tremendous amount of quality. Let's talk about her just right here while she's parked from the profile. I love just the way she blends and balances from her nose all the way back into her shoulder blade, back into a really long and level hip, and her hind leg sets with the most comfort in here. I think one that just represents tremendous quality from the profile, yet it's deceiving when you get right in behind this heifer. And I thought the one in second would outpower her by quite a ways when we get right in behind her. I actually read her more genuine in the shape right in behind her shoulder, and she's smoother and flatter right there at the top of her blade. I actually like this one's base width as you study her right there in terms of her stifle, hock all the way to the ground, and still as you study them in motion, she's more correct in the set to her front foot, shoulder, and knee than the one that comes in second. That's a really, really nice one here to lead off. I like a lot of things about the heifer here in second. I'm a power guy. I like them dense. I like them chunky, and this one represents that. She's the boldest right through the center part of her heart and back into her flank of anything that we've seen today, and she complements that with a really stout hind leg that reads very correct in the angles of her skeleton standing still. In motion, I thought she wanted to run downhill just a shot. She opens at the top of her blade, and then as you study her front foot, we could modify her there. I read her the most upright in the way she sets her knee and her shoulder as we study them in motion, not the reach, not the flexibility or the comfort of the one that we lead off with. The heifer here in third, standing still, you could budget her up just a spot or two because she is dense and powerful, extremely stout down her top and from behind. For me, she's just a little quick in terms of her maturity. You study her face, she's a little short in terms of her nose and just a little short in her head. I thought this female was, for me, just wanted to run downhill just a nickel. My main concern is down there around her back feet. She just wants to curl up in her ankle and never wanted them to set them down with enough comfortability. I really like the heifer here that comes in 4 in motion. I read her as sound in terms of her hind leg and just joint work and general flexibility as anything. My problem was when she parks from the profile, I never could get her to balance. She wanted to run downhill up front, get a little high in her hook bone, and then dropped in her pin set. She just never wanted to balance up with the same kind of lines and symmetry of the cattle that we see that preceded her. The heifer that's making the lap here, really long-bodied. She's got a great shape to her as we work down her top and there from behind. I read her just a nickel shotgun-bellied for me and a little slick from her navel back into her flank. And then as you study her back around her rear foot, she just never wanted to just set down with enough comfort and flexibility, a little tied up right there in terms of her loin and offer just a little too much set to her hind leg. I could honestly stouten her in her bone work just a nickel. Heifer that's making the corner now, extremely bold and powerful, a little quick in her maturity for me, wanted to coil up in her spine and throw her hind leg outside of herself. And then the two cattle that remain, very, very nice in terms of their length and refinement up front. For me, just didn't have quite the power or quite the just intangibles of quality of what we see in the cattle ahead. Great class, tremendous quality all the way through. I want to compliment the exhibitors on a job well done.
So results from class number 3, first place is going to be Nicholas Retzma with heifer 808. Birth date is March 25th. Then second is going to be Case Chamberlain, showing Dolly. Birth date is March 1st. Third is going to be Bristol Gaines with Holly, a birth date of March 25th. Fourth is going to be Jet Jameson showing Maple. The birth date is going to be April 5th. Then the fifth is going to be Emma Fassett showing Cardi. Birth date is March 3rd. Sixth is Jace Hines showing Socks, February 14th, the birth date. And seventh is Ian Madden with April 10th. And 8th is LCC Show Team Prospect Heifer Razzle Dazzle. Birth date is March 10th. In the ring now is class number 4. We will have that division drive following this. Class number 4, Cannon Riemann showing Miranda. Brenda Lane is showing Lily. Camille Schmick showing B Heifer. Then Brittany Castillo, Heifer 21. Casey Major showing Shorty. Ella Henderson showing Reba. Sage Carnahan showing Charlie. And Taya Ann Clement showing Texas Yellow Rose. Show weight 868 to 1,013. To say thanks to Weaver Leather, as Weaver Leather is committed to helping the very best you can be. Stop by their booth between the Junior Barn and the Stadium Arena and check out their full line of show supplies backed by industry experts. Weaver has developed the fueling and the enthusiasm and showing livestock innovative products at the National Western Stock Show. Don't forget to tell your family and friends if they're unable to be here at the CoBank Arena. They can tune in live on ringsidelive.co. And thanks to Common Spirit, our presenting partner here at the National Western Stock Show, as we are the West.
tremendous class here. I thought a really good pair here on the top end of this particular class. And I want to say hats off, especially to this top pair. These are elite presented, really dialed in cattle that just hit you with a really strong first impression coming right in the gate. I thought they were both sound. I thought they both had elite pieces in terms of quality. Here's what I'll say about my class winner. I think she's further out there and she's got more everywhere. I think it starts at her head. She's stouter there and she comes back. She's bolder there at the top part of her rib, and she's got more turn. And then you study her from behind, there's quite a bit of difference in terms of pin width and natural shape, and then just base width at the ground. That one's really long in terms of her stride. She's got a lot of flexibility built into her. That's an elite kind of a power female with a look that I like quite a bit to start. The one here that comes in second, you can't draw one up better from the side. She's better back into her rear rib and flank. I call her a little longer and a little better there from hooks to pins. I love this female just in the way she draws up with this kind of an elite silhouette from the profile. Here's what I have to say about this one, and comparative to the one that starts, I read her a little longer faced, a little frailer in terms of her structure. She doesn't have quite the flexibility out of her hip and her hind leg in motion as what we see in our winner. She just didn't have quite the elite power of what we have in the one that starts. But I'm telling you, that is one high rent, good looking rascal that has a lot of things that I like a lot, especially from a profile view. The cattle here in 3 and 4 are really close. I'll be honest with you, I kind of went back and forth on this particular pair. This heifer here, I thought she was just a little better in the way she used her hip and her hind leg. In her own right, tremendously powerful. That's a round-bodied, really muscular one that's got a lot of shape all the way through, a little tight in terms of her heart, a little tight back into her flank, and she's got a little extra set to her hind leg. Still thought she used it a little bit better than the one that comes right in behind. From the side, standing still, I had this pair switched because this heifer is a little stronger in her top line. She's leveler out of her hip. I thought she came out of her shoulder just a little cleaner than the one that's in 3. You study this one in motion. She just hits her hind leg too hard for me. I've got to see that one with just more reach and flexibility off of both ends of her skeleton. That black heifer that comes out next, young lady's doing a great job. Heifer's not wanting to show the best for her, but she's hanging in there tough and doing a good job. From her last rib forward, I like her quite well. They got a lot of power and a good look up front. Just her hind leg wanted to coil up on us and wanted to pull in her hock from behind. This heifer here that comes in next, a lot of power. I think she actually meets her stride just a little bit better than the heifer that went right in behind her or right in ahead of her. For me, as you study this one up front, just a little coarse in terms of her neck and her throat. I'd like to see this heifer longer in her hip as we study her from the standstill and just give her a little more pizzazz in the front 1/3 of her body. I like this painted heifer up that comes around next from a power standpoint. Big ribbed, really powerful all the way through. Read her just a little lower quality in terms of her neck, head, and throat line. Like to see her a little cleaner at the crest of her neck and blend in just a little smoother in her shoulder. And then the young lady that's going to round out this class, one that's certainly got some bone and some length of body. I need to make that one a little smoother, a little more refined, a little sounder as we see them on the lap. Congratulations, guys. Great class. Very, very good pair there on the top end.
Congratulations, class number 4. The winner is going to be Cannon Ribbon. Show and brand. Birth date is March 19th. Show weight is 868. Second is going to be Ella Henderson. Show and Reba. Birth date is March 19th. Third is going to be Camille Schmick, B. Heifer. Birth date is April 5th. Fourth is going to be Casey Major. Showing Shorty. March 5th, Heifer. Then fifth is going to be Brenda Lane, showing Lily, May 1st. Sixth is going to be Tyann Clement, Texas Yellow Rose, February 15th. And seventh is Sage Carnahan, showing Charlie, March 1st. And eighth is Brittany Castillo, Heifer 21. And a birth date of May 15th. That was class number 4 as we are going to start our division drive. In our feeder heifer class and division, grand champion feeder heifer will receive a banner and a buckle. Reserve grand champion feeder heifer, a banner and a buckle. And the third, fourth, and fifth overall will receive a banner. Out of class number 1, the first place was Kara Bremer with heifer 3, show weight 697. Class 2, Lena Crumley, white and cayenne, show weight 760. Class 3, Nicholas Rimsa with show weight of 810. And Class 4 winner, Cannon Raymond, Sean Miranda, show weight 868. I want to say thanks to our partners at Murdoch's. Save on the essentials that you need, like jeans, boots, hardware, pet supplies, fencing, and much more. Shop Murdoch's online or find a store near you at murdochs.com.
First division of the day out here, and congratulations to these exhibitors. This is a tremendous set of cattle. We're really happy with our class winners and seconds as we work through this particular division and get a top 5. Tell you what I see real quick. We got plenty of time, and you guys probably traveled a long way and spent a lot of money to be here, so I want to just kind of talk through my thought process and tell you what I see in these cattle. Really like our class winner out of Class 1. I told you in that particular class, I thought her hip and her hind leg provided some high ground for me to stand on in her own right. This is a really good bodied. She's got a great turn to her rib type of a female that's good in her hip and her hind leg. You compare her to some of these other heifers out here. She's not the most choke of the neck, but I think she's got a really nice rib and a great hip and hind leg. Young lady out of Class 3, out of Class 2. I thought that was a challenging class to kind of sort through, but that heifer was the soundest. She was the most fundamental, and she was the best in her kind. I read her just really nice and square at her corner. She's good-footed, and she takes a long, accurate type of a step. I really like this one right through the center part of her body. Good ribbed, really powerful there at the top part of it, and comes back stout from behind. I study this heifer as we compare her to some of these other class winners, maybe get swallowed up a little bit just from a foot size and bone work standpoint. I'd like to see her just a little cleaner at the crest of her neck and jack that front end up just a shot more, but a female that offers a lot of good. Tremendously high quality heifer that comes out of Class 3. In park profile, this heifer is the strongest in her top. She's the most elite in her look up front, and I think complements that with a great just front foot and set back angle to her knee and her shoulder, and that allows her top line to balance as good as it does. From right here, I love just the lines. I love the symmetry, the drop back to her rear rib and flank. You study her in motion. She swings her hind leg just a nickel for me. She's probably not quite as powerful as some of these other cattle out here just in terms of pin width and pride going straight away from you, but that's a female that offers a lot of good and a tremendous look from the profile. The heifer that just wins this last class, I'm going to be honest with you, probably her biggest problem is her attitude, and she doesn't want to cooperate just the best for the young lady, but I read her the furthest out there of anything in this particular set. She's the longest necked. She's got the biggest pin set. She's got the biggest, stoutest hind leg. And when you take these cattle off and set them into motion, she's easily got the most reach and true flexibility built into her framework. I think a heifer that still balances extremely good from the side. She's got a lot of power and just a tremendous amount of quality, and a heifer that I like a great deal. We'll go ahead and pick our champion. We got a great set of seconds back here behind. We'll bring in our second and work through a top five. If you will, let's compliment the young lady out of the last class. She's going to be our champion in this division. We'll roll through top five. Nice job.
Congratulations, Cannon Raymond, showing Veranda with a show weight of 868. She will be your grand. That will now move in Ella Henderson showing Reba.
We bring in that second. I told you, from the side, you can't draw one much better. Her lines, her balance, and her just look of an elite female, I thought is very, very intriguing. I told you she didn't have quite as much as what our class winner did in that particular division, but that one still built extremely good at the ground. Her lines, her balance is still extremely good, and the center part of her body is bold and built the way I think they need to be built. That's a tremendous female. That's the one that I like second best. We'll compliment her. And then this will be the last time I come to the mic in this division. We'll work through the top five. Nice job.
Congratulations to Ella Henderson out of class number 4, will be your reserve champion. Third place is going to come out, I believe, out of class number 3. That is Nicholas Rimsa. That will now bring in Case Chamberlain. Your 4th overall is going to be Case Chamberlain out of class 3. And the 5th overall is going to come from class number 1, Kara Bremer. Congratulations to those winners of our Prospect Heifer Feeder. Again, grand is going to go to Cannon Raymond, showing Miranda, birth date of March 19th. Reserve is going to be Ella Henderson, showing Reba, birth date of March 19th. The 3rd overall, Nicholas Rimsa, with a birth date of March 25th. 4th is going to be Case Chamberlain out of class 3, showing Dolly, March 1st heifer, and 5th overall, Kara Bremer out of class number 1, April 1st. How about a round of applause to all of our competitors here in our Prospect Heifers Feeder class. Thanks to all of our exhibitors and all of our sponsors for helping out, as our next show will be our Prospect Heifers breeding. I want to say thanks to Sullivan Show Supply, a family-owned and operated company founded in 1989. They're an innovative leader in livestock show supply. Sullivan Supply has kept the values of hard work, family ties, and quality products at its core. Sullivan Supply, proud to service the livestock industry, and wishes all the exhibitors at the National Western best of luck. Thanks again to our presenting sponsor of the National Western Stock Show as we celebrate 120 years Common Spirit as our presenting sponsor, as we are the West. Update to you, the breeding heifers will start at 11:45. At 11:45, we will start our breeding heifers. That is our Prospect Heifers breeding at 11:45, so this will give you a chance to stretch your legs. Go by and see all of our great vendors and everything that is a part of the National Western. Well, good afternoon to you, and welcome to the National Western Stock Show presented by Common Spirit. As our prospect heifers breeding will start in 5 minutes, in about 5 minutes, with the class number 1. Well, good afternoon again. Welcome to the National Western Stock Show presented by Common Spirit. as we are going to start class number 1 of our prospect heifers breeding. Again, welcome to our show ring, our judge, Skylar Scotton from Nevada, Missouri. Grew up raising show cattle, goats with his family as he's an active member of 4-H and FFA and judge livestock at the collegiate level. Skylar currently resides in Lubbock, Texas, where he's a livestock judge and coach and a PhD student studying ruminant nutrition at Texas Tech University. So we are going to start with our prospect heifers breeding and welcome into the arena class number 1. Class number 1, Hilton Smith, Zoom Violet, Ethan Breton showing Buttercup, Linton Livestock, then Casey Major, RSLV, Lila, Jack Crumley, Black Kite, and then it'll be Caleb Thompson showing Queen, and Hilton Smith 7TW. Again, class number 1 coming into the show ring. Thanks to Andis for your clipping fitting skills to the next level with the Emerge and Pulse ZR2 clippers from Andis. Experience the perfect trifecta of control, power, and efficiency to reach the flawless finish. Find them at your Andis dealer today. Thanks to them, along with John Deere, the official agriculture and turf equipment provider of the National Western Stock Show. Visit your local John Deere dealer for great deals now. And remember, nothing runs like a deer. Keep in mind, if you have family that is unable to be here, they can watch live today at ringsidelive.co.
As we're circling around here, I'm excited to get kicked off in our breeding division here of our Prospect Heifer Show. A good class to start off with, and I'll be honest with you, outside of our class winner, I think we could probably cuss and discuss 2 through 5 just a little bit, but I was very, very unanimous on our class winner. She went to the ground. She's got the biggest and the best feet that are the softest in the way they set to the ground. She's got real flexibility built into her joints, and with that, she's still got a great look to her. That's a high neck type of a female with a really good look of balance and quality. I thought she had more to her than the cattle right in behind in terms of just center rib, and right there in terms of her heart, big pinned, really square all the way to the ground. That's a really nice female that I project long term, stays flexible, stays sound, and I think has got the look to be very, very competitive on down the road. Nice class winner to start. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I thought 2 through 4 could all be just a little softer in the way they hit their hind leg from behind. I'd like to make them all just a little bit sounder, so I sorted them from the profile. I thought balance, I thought quality, I thought symmetry sorted this second heifer into the hole that she needed to go. She's really stout in her head. She's got a big forearm, really bold in terms of her rib with a lot of shape all the way through. I called her lines. I called her top line a little more comfortable than the 1 and 3. I need to soften her up and make her just a little more female-like in terms of her body type and her hind leg as we study her relative to a really nice class winner. But young man, you're doing a good job, and I want to compliment you on that. Nice work. The young man here in third's doing a good job as well. Very highly presented type of a female that just presents a lot of quality from the side. I like her neck set. I like her top line and in the way she feeds right out of the back of her shoulder with a lot of strength. I think probably just a little softer and deeper back into her rear rib and flank as we compare her to the heifer there that's in second. I study the cattle in motion, and of our top 3, I call her the shortest hip, the straightest hock, and probably the tightest in the way she's moving her ankle. From right here, I thought she just needed to beat the heifer that comes in 4 from a balance, from a quality, and just from a refinement standpoint. Like to soften her up just a touch. The heifer here in 4, I've got mixed emotions about, because standing still, I say that's a moderate, sensibly sized cow that's got a great body type. She's a little stouter in her structure and got more to her from behind the cattle than the 2 cattle right ahead. At the same token, I call her a little just mature in terms of her head, her neck, and right there through the floor of her chest, and then she wants to throw her hind leg outside of herself. I thought it was just an accumulation of small things that got her beat in a very, very tough class. This young lady right here is 5 years old, and she is doing a great job, and I want to compliment you on that. Got a nice heifer, too. She's moderate. I think she's going to make a good cow for you because she's super sound. She just didn't have the bells and whistles from the side. Just a little plainer up front, a little thicker there in terms of her throat, a little plainer chested. I'd like to lengthen her out of her hip just a touch. The black and white female coming around next is one that's got just a lot of growth and natural performance. She's a really long-sided type of a female that's got just a lot of good in her as you study her from the side. She's long-necked. She's really strong in her top line and level out of her hip. I called her the poorest balance from the side. I read her just a little deeper in her chest and a little flatter in her stifle, threw off her balance as we study in park profile. We'll bring the 2 shorthorns around, and I think there's good parts in both of these cattle. They couldn't be more different in their kind. I got a little small, really boxy, stout one here that's just a little quick in her maturity pattern for me, and then we round out the class with one that's a little bigger in her frame and got just a little more growth. I called her the hardest bodied of this particular set, and that's why she landed up where she did. This is a great class of cattle, and every exhibitor did a good job. If you will, let's kick it off with a nice round of applause and compliment these exhibitors on a job well done.
That was class number 1 of our Prospect Heifers. As class number 2 is coming into the ring, Casey Major, RSLV Houdat Spice, Ian Madden showing Ella, Riley Joseph showing Naughty, Case and Clement on showing Mindy, Mason, Strice Evans, Leah, then Caden Kasson, Martha, Haley Ann Walker is showing Nikki, Kira Ingram, Prada, and Tessa Delmore is showing Nova. This class show weight 692 to 746. Class number 2 coming into the ring. As soon as we get the results from class number 1, we will get those to you. So, official results from class number 1, Linton Livestock Prospect Heifers, birth date June 15th. Congratulations to them. Second is going to be Jack Crumley, Black China, May 20th. Third is Caleb Thompson with Queen. Fourth is going to be Casey Major Prospect Heifers, RSLV Lila, May 15th. Fifth is going to be Hilton Smith, Zoomy Zoomy Violet. Then sixth is going to be Hilton Smith, 7TW. That is an April 12th heifer. And seventh is Ethan Breton with Buttercup, May 1st heifer. And eighth, that is going to be LCC Show Team Ruby, 325. Congratulations, class number 1 in the ring right now, class number 2.
I'm telling you, a really good class here of heifers to sort through. And I thought a great set of cattle, but I thought this heifer that started the class really stood alone, in my opinion. I'll be honest with you, I thought she was the best everywhere. I love her balance and her look from the side. Her neck sets right where it needs to, and she's still beautiful in terms of the refinement and shape to her head, neck, and shoulder design. And with that, she comes back with some real cow power from behind. She's bold in her body with a lot of natural dimension and thickness down her top and out there out of her hip. And still, as you study these cattle in motion and how they need to set down in their feet, their joint work, and their flexibility, I think she does that to the highest degree. She's very, very good in her front foot and her knee and the set to her shoulder, and still with that, I read her longer and more flexible out of her hip. She's more comfortable in the way her hock and her hind legs set here to the turf. I think a female that is incredibly nice in terms of her balance and her look of proportionality, and her feet and her legs get her to the top of the class, and I thought did so in a hurry. Park profile is where I like the heifer here in second. I'll be honest with you. I think she's extremely good balance. She's good in her lines. I like the length of her top line and the length out of her hip. I call her a little more refined and female-like than the heifer that sets in third. Now, where she runs into a snag for me as we study her from her navel back into her flank, not as much cow there as the one that starts. And then as you study her hind leg, I think it's real-world sound to perfect it. I'd like to make her feet just a little bit bigger. I'd like them to set down just a little bit softer and maintain the same kind of balanced look that we see standing still as what we do in motion. But a nice female that complements a very high caliber winner and does so in a high degree. I'm telling you, this Hereford marked one here that comes out in third, I love this kind. Real world stock talking here. This is one sensibly sized, awesome bodied, flexible legged cow that is going to make a really good replacement for this young lady into the future. Now, from a show ring setting, and it pains me to say this, she's a little plain. She just gets a little thick-throated. She's a little just cresty there at the top of her neck, and then I'd like to settle her in her tail head. Aesthetically speaking, we need to make her just a little bit better. Real world cow, I couldn't get that one any lower than third. I like her a good bit. The one here that comes in four, got a lot of punch to her right through the center part of her body. She's fresh. She's got a youthful look to her. She's bold and really good sprung there in terms of her rib cage, and I like this one in terms of the way she patterns up from the profile. When we set that one into motion, I thought she got a little rounder off of both ends. She wanted to shrug her neck and get a little thicker there at her crest. I'd like to see her just a little stouter in her bone relative to the power that she's packing up high. A neat line one here that comes in next, and I'm telling you, this cow is going to get a lot better with maturity, future, and just a little more feed. I think she's built right. At the ground, as fundamental as any. Flexible, big, and good-footed. She really strides nice and maintains a good balanced look in motion. Now, my problem with her today is she gets swallowed up by her contemporaries. I just need more to her every direction. She's a little flatter in her forerib, and she travels away from me just a nickel flat in her stifle. I like the butterscotch colored one here that comes in next, and when we park her from the side, she's good in her line. She's got a good look to her up front. My problem, my reservation is I call her a little flatter from behind and a little upright off of both ends of her skeleton. A tremendous class with a lot of quality all the way through. Heifer that comes next, moderate, really just powerful and opened up all the way through, just a little short and cresty up front, and she matches it with the same story from behind. I'd like to lengthen her and level her out of her hip. These two cattle here that round out the class, the gentlemen are doing a good job, and I think they're more alike than they are different. They've got some length, they've got some frame to them. I read them just a nickel harder in terms of the way they kind of want to body down just a little bit, need to see them a little softer in their heart and back into their flank. Like to free them up off of both ends and just set back their angles of their structure just ever so slightly. But that was a wicked good class, a lot of quality on the top end, and I thought an awfully good one to start. Nice job.
We will get the official results from Class 2, but Class 3 is coming in the ring. Oakley Bivens is showing Oaks. Haley Ann Walker is showing Naughty. Kennedy Arthur. Press Cleopatra 503 NET. Dakota Rogers. Maryland Ian Madden. Shania White Miller. DDM fooling around. Lily Wilson, Miss Lydia, Drew Ballard, PDM, Nyla ET, Sophia Ritchie, Portia, and Genevieve Williams, Zoe. Class number 2 results. First place, Tessa Delmore showing Nova. That is a March 4th heifer. Second is going to be Haley Ann Walker showing Nikki. That is a May 19th heifer. Third is going to be Kate Kassan Martha. That is a May 2nd heifer. Fourth is Riley Joseph showing Naughty, a March 1st heifer. Fifth is going to be Kara Ingram showing Prada. That is a May 15th heifer. Then sixth is Casey Major, RSLV, Houdat Spice, and that is a April 15th heifer. Seventh is Ian Madden showing Ella. And eighth is Kason Clement showing Mindy. Ninth, Mason Strice Evans. And ninth, Aaliyah. Congratulations to Class 2. Again, Class number 3 in the show ring right now.
great class here, a little bigger in numbers, and I'm going to tell you, I think the top three are as good of a top three as what we've had so far today. I'm going to tell you, I think our class winner, I think she stands alone, and why she does so. This is the best structured, best legged one we've had in the ring so far this morning. She has got big feet. She's stout in terms of her bone work, and that thing does not have one hinge or hookup in her skeleton. She is loose in terms of her shoulder design with the right set to her front knee and front foot. Her spine has got some set in it. When she takes off and goes, everything pulls together, and her hip and her hind leg separates her from the cattle 2 and 3. She's got more bone and more substance than the heifer in second. She's got more free range as we take these cattle on a lap than the one in third. And from a balance standpoint, beautiful headed, big fuzzy ears that set right in terms of her head. And I think this one draws up with the right kind of maternal silhouette, elite lines, elite skeleton, elite structured type of a female that needs to start. Now, when you get right in behind her, if you want to say, okay, I think she's a little green and probably not just as punchy as the cattle that come in right in behind, I'll buy that. But I'm not going to buy the fact that that is not daylighting the rest of the set in terms of structure, in terms of flexibility, in terms of design from the profile. I thought she needed to win this class and do so rather handedly. Very, very nice female to start. Heifer in second, a lot of good things about this one. Fundamentally, she's square at the ground. She's got a really nice look when the cattle are pulled into motion. I thought she stayed very, very nice balance. Very high neck. She's got just a tremendous amount of body and rib in this one. And you get right in behind her, she packs some punch from behind. My problem is I didn't think she balanced perfect from the side because she's a little too fragile in her foot relative to how much body and real mass she has. If we give her just a little more substance down low, I think that pair gets razor close, because that one is a type of female that's going to stay really good in terms of her mature cow size. Very, very bold in her body and stay sound. I like that one long term a good bit. The punchiest one comes here in third, and she's got the furthest out there pieces. She's dialed into the 9s, and young man, you did a great job presenting this one. She is clipped and fit immaculately, and I love her quality. Her neck, her head, her shoulder design's good. Her lines from right here is extremely, extremely nice, and she's the most powerful of any cattle in this class when you get right in behind them. She runs into a snag as we take her off and go in motion. She wants to get a little wound up there in her top line. She's a little too upright as we study her in terms of her hind leg. I just need to see her with more reach and more true flexibility there in terms of her hip and in her hock. I thought from here, some really good cattle probably didn't have the bells and whistles. This is just a good fundamental cow prospect that the young lady's bringing around next. Moderate and good-bodied and really sound. I thought she was too plain in the front third of her body in terms of shoulder, neck, head, and the way she wanted to balance. I like some quality pieces, the young lady's heifer that's coming next. She's long and strong in her top line with a really neat look up front. I called her just a little tight and tubular in her rib. I'd like to see that one body down just a little bit. Really powerful heifer here that comes in next. I like the center third body better than the heifer that just went out. She's got some power. She's got some substance. She's just a little too round built. I'd like to freshen her up just a shot in the way she's being presented to us today, but a female that's got some long-term good. We got some cattle here that come in next that are completely different in their type and kind. I called this one just a little neater in terms of the way she blends everything together up front. She's more uniform in her condition. She's a little fresher in her head and neck and chest. I thought this heifer was just a frame score tall and maybe a rib long. The balance perfect from the side. I'd like to stouten her up and her stifle just a shot. A really powerful, chunky heifer here that comes next for the young man. She's really bold, got a lot of substance, need to freshen her up front. As we round out the class, I think a pair of heifers that still offer a lot of good. This heifer's got a lot of growth and natural performance, need a little more groceries right through the center part of her body. And then we round out with the silver heifer. The young lady's doing a great job showing. I love everything about her except for her hind leg, and we just need to make her a little sounder. But you got a nice heifer, and I want to congratulate you on a job well done here at the National Western. Nice job, guys. Incredible class with a lot of quality from top to bottom.
As we await the official results from Class 3, we will bring into the ring Class number 4. These heifers weigh from 800 to 871. Riley Joseph showing Panda. Peyton Rogers showing heifer 586. McKinley Long showing Huckleberry. Tessa Delmore, Drit Nashville ET. Brock Welp, Black Betty. Then Cree Forgetto is showing Penny, and Brentley Lane is showing Autumn, as we welcome class number 4 into the ring here at the National Western, presented by Common Spirit, as we are the West, celebrating 120 years of the National Western Stock Show. So, results of Class 3 first is going to go to Kennedy Arthur, Press Cleopatra 503 NET. That is a March 2nd heifer. Second is going to Lily Wilson with Miss Lydia. That's an April 20th heifer. Third is Drew Ballard, PDM Nyla ET. That is a May 6th heifer. Fourth is going to Haley Ann Walker with a Naughty. That is an April 9th heifer. Fifth is Oakley Bivens showing Oaks. That is an April 20th heifer. Sixth is Ian Madden Shania. That is an April 5th heifer. Seventh is Genevieve Williams showing Zoe. That is a March 17th heifer. Eighth is White Miller, DDM pulling around May 1st heifer. And ninth is Sophia Ritchie showing Portia. That is a January 11th heifer. And 10th is going to be Dakota Rogers with Maryland. That is a February 5th heifer. Congratulations to Class 10 right now. Class number 3 right now. Class number 4 in the show ring. Thanks to our partners at Saunders Construction, locally founded in 1972, are now one of the largest and most stable construction companies in Colorado. Saunders offers well-paid positions with opportunities for career growth. Visit them at www.saundersincorporated.com for more information on career opportunities.
another tremendous class. As we start kind of stepping up in weights, we're finding some real cow power out here, and I think a very, very nice pair here on the top end of this particular class to sort. And I love the cherry red female that's going to lead us off. I think she does a lot of things right, in my opinion. She's stout and represents just a lot of dimension, which I like, but still I think represents a lot of pieces of what a high caliber female needs to look like moving forward. I think she's out there in terms of her neck set, and she's really, really neat in the way it ties to the top part of her shoulder. She's still smooth and flat in the front part of her body, and her front foot points straight ahead how it needs to, yet she packs some real heat as you study these cattle from behind. It's actually deceiving as we compare to the heifer in second. You expect the heifer in second to have more to her. This heifer is actually wider, and she's square as we come down her top, and she's got a lot more true natural thickness from behind. I really like this female just in terms of being powerful but smooth in terms of her muscle pattern, and I think that allows her image to draw up with the most quality from the profile. You study these cattle on the lap, and she gets worked up just a little bit. She does want to crack her ankle, but as we study her right here, I think her angles read extremely true. Her skeleton, in my opinion, is very, very good, very acceptable, and still I think this female just has to win this class from a balance and a power standpoint. Nice heifer to lead us off. Tremendously fresh-haired, well-presented one here that comes in second. A little different kind, a little taller there at the top of her blade, and she ties her neck very, very neat to the top side of it. I think in her own regard, a big-footed, really soft hind-legged female that's got a lot of long-term utility built into her skeleton. My problem with this female is it gets a little rounder off of both ends. She's a little shorter in her neck. She wants to kind of just crinkle up there in terms of her crest, and it's not as smooth as her class winner. My main problem is she wants to get a little high in her hook bone and then drops her pin set both standing still and in motion. Got a nice blaze face female here that comes in third, and I wish she'd cooperate for the young lady just a shot better, because I actually read her structure as good as anything in this set. Her front foot, her shoulder design, and her hind leg are square. They're true, and when she wanted to walk, she actually had a lot of flexibility. I think from the side is where we get just a little more critical. A little shorter up front, a little deeper in terms of her chest, and with that, I need to drop her in terms of her bottom line as we study her from her navel back into her flank relative to how much she's packing up front. But a female, in my opinion, her structure allowed her to get as high as what she did. Young man, you got a nice female standing still. We could justify switching this pair. She's got a stout head that's really maternal. Her neck ties right in the top of her shoulder, level in terms of her top line, gets just a little slick-bellied for me, and hits her hind leg just a little hard as we study him here on the lap. Young lady, you're doing a good job, and you're having fun here at the National Western, and I appreciate that. This female is good in her size. She's deep in terms of her flank and got some flexibility, just a little plain up front. She wanted to kick her tail head up in the air, just need to settle that down in her just a little bit. The two females to round out the class couldn't be more different in their kind, but I think they both offer some value. This heifer here, moderate, very, very powerful, just a little coarse every direction, and then the heifer that we round out with has got some extreme pieces, but I think she's a little too extreme in my opinion. Got some real length and some extension up front. She hits me just a shot hard in her body, and I'd like to just make her a little more powerful from behind. Great class, very good class winner once again. My compliments to those exhibitors on a job well done.
So we'll await the results of Class 4 as we bring in Class 5. That is going to be Linton Livestock, along with Kelton Author, showing Nelly, Cody Avery, showing Bentley, Brendel Lane, showing Andy, Ellie Crossbeck, showing 59, Ian Madden, showing Twilight, and Vienna Sells, showing Ryan. Okay, the official results from class number 4. First place is going to Peyton Rogers with a March 1st heifer. That is 586. Second is going to be Tessa Delmore, Drit Nashville ET. That is an April 20th heifer. Third is going to be Riley Joseph showing Panda. March 1st. Fourth is going to be Brock Welp showing Black Betty. That is a March 10th. Fifth is Brendel Lane showing Autumn. That is a February 26th. Sixth is Forgetto showing Penny. That is a February 16th heifer. Seventh is McKinley Long showing Huckleberry. That is a April 15th heifer, and that is the results of class number 4. Congratulations to them. Inside the ring, class number 5. Class number 5 in the ring right now. As we say thanks to our partners at Superior Farms. As American lamb is delicious and easy to cook, visit superiorfarms.com for great recipes and ask for American lamb, your favorite restaurant.
I tell you, our heifer show this morning has been nothing short of elite. I think a lot of good cattle, a lot of cattle that I'd be proud to stand behind, and a lot of stuff that I'll be honest with you that I'd like to own. Our top pair in this class, I think, represent kind of the kind and caliber that I've been after this morning. They're both really good. They're just a little bit different. But I tell you what, when these cattle take off and go, just the joint work, the general flexibility, and the skeleton are the one that starts. Regardless of any species we're talking, you get one built like that, you're going to get closer to winning than you do not more times than often. She has got big feet. They set right. I think they're within her framework, but they're on the corners where they need to be. She's extremely good just in terms of her stoutness of substance. She's bigger at the base of her ankle and her foot than the heifer in second. She's got more set to her ankle. She's better in the way she uses her hock. And then as we build up from there, her balance is incredible because of her feet and leg structure. It's built how it needs to be. Her top line is dead center, in my opinion. I know it's sometimes standing still. We could say, yeah, we could pick her up just a little bit behind her shoulder. I'm telling you, when they take off and go, cattle with just a little in the slack in their top line standing still always look better in motion. She's got the length and the right kind of set from hooks to pins and down from there. Her balance is complemented with a really neat neck set, a stout head, and awesome presentation. Now, I'll keep it 100 with you here. When I get right in behind the cattle, she's probably not just as bold at the top of her rib as the heifer in second, but I still call her stout and really, really good in the way she goes from behind. The heifer in second has got some really neat pieces, and I told the young lady, I absolutely love this heifer's color. A beautiful blaze face like that I like, and she complements it with an awesome head and a beautiful look up front. I think she's a little more out there probably in terms of her neck set. She's a little tighter wound in terms of her muscle. She's really bold in her rib, and this heifer is going to have a lot of performance and natural power on down the road, especially into this summer. I thought in a really close pair I separated them in motion, and when I study this heifer on the go, she coils up right there in the middle part of her loin. She wants to drop her hook bone just a shot, and then I didn't read her hind leg just quite as flexible and quite as unique in the way she sets in her hock and in her ankle, but that's an incredible pair that I think offer a tremendous amount of quality and utility down the road. I separate 3 and 4 in motion, and I asked the cattle to pull up one more time. I just wanted to be 100% confident in the way I had these two cattle lined up. They're both very level in their top line, and they're bold rib with a lot of power. This heifer's better hind-legged than the red one. She needs a better look up front to move up any higher. Red heifer, jet level in her lines, a lot of power and natural dimension, a little mature up front for me in terms of her head, her neck, and her crest, and then I'd like to see that heifer move just a little sounder out of her hip and her hind leg. Got a lot of nice Charolais heifer we're going to round out the class with a lot of growth, natural performance, and just a lot of extension all the way through. Young lady, I'd like to soften her up just a little bit. In terms of her body, I'd like to stouten her in terms of her structure just a nickel, but I think long term, when she bodies down and matures, you're going to have a nice heifer there. Congratulations. Great job showing to all those kids. I'm proud of you. Good work. Excited to see what the next class brings.
We'll get the official class results of Class 5. The Class 6 coming into the arena. Willa Martinez with Heifer 46. Chet Jameson with Dot. Ty Weathers with Panda. Vienna Sales with Paulus. Logan Blake with Jesse. And Jake King with Katniss. So the results of class number 5. First is going to be Kelton Arthur with Nelly. That is a March 3rd heifer. Second is going to be Vienna Sales with Ryan. That is a February 15th heifer. Third is Linton Livestock with a April 20th heifer. Fourth is Brittany Lane with a March 14th heifer. And fifth, Ian Madden with a March 2nd.
I tell you what, this is an incredibly good class here, and we're going to have some firepower when we stack in our class winners and seconds back for our top five in just a bit. I thought, honestly, I felt bad for the young people there in 5 and 6. That they would have been second, third, fourth in a lot of classes that we've had earlier in the day. This was just a buzzsaw of a class with elite cattle up here on the top end. I thought as good as this class was, we had one that daylighted them that needs to start and does so in a hurry. I was thinking to myself, in terms of cattle, we want livestock to run uphill, and we want them to balance good. When I sat and when I watch cattle shows, I'm like, I don't know if that one truly runs uphill, but it's close. I think this one gets about as close as I've seen to truly running uphill with the right kind of set to her front knee and front foot. Her skeleton is near perfect, in my opinion, in the way her joints work and go in motion. Her top line is ideal, standing still and on the lap. And, man, she's got some kind of look when we stop and look at her from right here. Her neck is beautiful and looks like an elite female should, but she still complements it with some stoutness to her head and her jaw. And I'm telling you, when you get right in behind her, we want to talk about cow power and real punch. Her rib cage is incredible. She has got a lot of just turn there to her mid-body, and she's not just big-bellied, guys. That thing has got a big barrel in her, and she is stout out of her upper hip. I want them to be powerful cattle. That's what I like, and that's what I've grown up, and that's what my family selects on. We like powerful cattle that are perfect in their structure. I think this is a powerful female that is near ideal in the way she picks them up and puts them down. She has got a look to kill, and I'm telling you, a lot of power from behind. That's a very, very nice female to start. I'm fired up about the one that wins, but I like this one in second a good bit. If we're just going to talk real cow value starting at the ground, she has got big, great feet, flexible joints that are really clean, and she gets out and goes, and she is near perfect in her line. She is beautiful in her top line. I really like just the swoop she's got from her navel back into her flank. I'm getting real critical here on a pair this good. She wants to stick out and protrude just a little bit there in terms of her chest. I call her hip just a nickel shorter from hooks to pins, and I didn't think it allowed her to balance with the same kind of just eliteness in class of what we see in our class winner, but that heifer's got a lot of value, and her joints and her feet are big time good. Young lady here in third, this heifer's not as presented or as hairy quite like the cattle in first and second, but I want to tell you, when this one takes off and goes, her feet and her legs are built how I like. She's flexible. She maintains length and strength in her top line. She's square at all four corners, and she sets them down good. She doesn't have the eliteness up front or the power from behind relative to an elite pair there that go 1 and 2. I like this heifer here. She was wanting to act up and be a little bit of a knucklehead, but her hind leg alone, I think, offers a lot of value for this female long term. It's big, sets good in her feet. I think from her last rib forward, balance is extremely good. I had a hard time with this heifer wanting to balance from her hook bone back. She got a little high there, a little low in terms of her pin set, and then pulled in her hock and got a little flat in her stifle from behind. Little guy, I want to apologize because this heifer's good, and I don't want to think you brought a bad heifer to town because you didn't. I promise you, when you were leading this heifer up here, you didn't think you'd be as far down in this class as what you did. You just ran into a buzzsaw of a set of cattle. This heifer standing still, I think she can run with the best of them in terms of balance. I really like just her rib design. I like how she flows from her neck into her shoulder and all the way back to her tail. I think when we set this heifer in motion is where I get a little more critical. Her feet, her joint work, everything is just a little tight and timid when she takes off and goes, and I call her the shortest in her stride on the lap. Got a goggle-eyed baldy here. I'm telling you, turnout cow-wise offers a tremendous amount of value. Right in her size, she's going to be an easy fleshing type of a female that's really good in terms of her body. She's the plainest of in a set of high-rent cattle. She's the shortest necked and the deepest throated. I call her probably just the plainest in the way that she's built in her stifle and hind leg, but I think long-term that one offers a lot of good moving forward as a turnout cow. Tremendous class. Compliments to those exhibitors on a job well done. That was incredible there on the top end.
Congratulations to Class 6 winner Jake King with Katniss. That is a January 15th heifer. Second is going to be Jet Jameson with Dot. That is a March 15th heifer. Third, Willa Martinez with heifer 46. That is a March 10th heifer. Fourth, that is Logan Blake with Jesse. That is a March 17th heifer. Fifth, Vienna Sales, Paulus is a February 15th heifer, and sixth is Ty Weathers with Panda. That is a January 5th heifer. That is going to be class number 6 as we start our drive. for our breeding heifer, our division drive. We will bring in from class number 1, Linton Livestock. In class number 2, Tessa Delmore with Nova. Class number 3, Kennedy Arthur with Press Cleopatra 503 NET. Class 4, Peyton Rogers with Heifer 586. Class number 5, Kelton Arthur with Nelly. And class number 6, Jake King with Katniss.
All right, we'll go ahead and tie a bow on our heifer show here this morning, but before I do, I want to say a few thank yous. I want to say thank you here to the National Western crew and staff for having me. I was talking to the young ladies here that have been working the stock show, and they've said they've been here nearly the whole year of 2026, so they've been here a while, and I want to say thank you guys for all that you do and making this stock show a memorable event, not only for myself, but for these kids and all the work that goes on behind the scenes. I want to thank the people there behind the announcer stand, the people taking the pictures. A lot of you guys I call friends and always glad to see y'all, and so I want to say thank you for having me. It's always a bucket list item and a dream come true anytime you can step foot and judge and evaluate stock here at the National Western, and I appreciate the opportunity and everyone that I get. So thank you guys very much. This is an incredible set of cattle here, and I want to say hats off to the exhibitors. I know it's very, very cold, and the weather probably affected a lot of you and your families here in the next couple of days. So I want to say thank you for bringing these cattle out, and best wishes and safe travels as you all go back home. We'll talk about these cattle real quick, and I'll tell you what I see, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this deal up and get you a top five. I thought we started off our breeding cattle division with a bang here in Class 1. This thing has got a lot of unique pieces. She's not ever going to be the biggest, and that's fine, but I think wherever she goes, she's going to give them all they want. She's got out there pieces. Her neck set might be the wildest of anything we have in here. Her feet are big, and her feet are flat, and the way they set down off both ends, and she can really giddy up and go. We compare her to some of these cattle in the back. She runs downhill just a little bit from her hook bone to the top of her blade, and I'd probably like to see her probably just a little more attractive in the set to her hind leg when she goes. She cools it up underneath of herself just a shot, but long-term, tremendous amount of value. This young lady brought this second heifer in here that won Class 2, and when she came in class, I thought, you know, if I've got to pick this one right here to win this show, I'm going to be extremely happy and have a very good experience here at the National Western when I drive back home to West Texas in just a little bit. She's got incredible pieces, and I think her best time is going to be ahead of her, and I think she's very futuristic in her look. Her neck set's incredible. I love her head and the strength to her jaw. Her feet and joint work how they should, and I think a female that goes in motion and she maintains probably as good or if not better of a look of balance and quality when she goes as she does standing still, and I think that's a testament to the kind of female she is. If we're going to get critical, I'm going to be honest with you, I think she's probably just a nickel petite in her structure and a little refined there as we work down into her hind leg, and I could bulken her up just a little bit, and at times you do a good job showing it out of her, but she wants to coil up in the center part of her loin just ever so slightly. We get back here to Class 3, and I told you when this heifer hit the ring, I didn't know if we'd had one so far in the show, whether it be in the feeder heifer division or the breeding heifer division, that had joints and just flexibility and soundness as good as this female does, and I think she's extremely good in a lot of areas. I think as you look at this heifer, and we want to talk about quality and what makes a female unique and stand out, I want to talk about her feet and leg structure first. That's the most memorable thing for me. Big feet that set right. Her joints are very, very good. She has got a beautiful set of ears on top of a really nice refined head. Her shoulder and her neck lay into her smooth, and I think when this heifer matures, she's going to be very, very good just in terms of her body and her lines. Probably doesn't have quite as much true power and dimension when you get right in behind her as some of the cattle on behind, but I'm telling you, pound for pound, that heifer right there swings a big stick, and I like her quite a bit. Probably the heifer that's the furthest out there is the red heifer that comes here in 4. You want to talk about out there pieces, neck set and hip. She is incredibly good from that angle. I love this heifer just in her size. She's moderate. She's very bold right through the center part of her body. She's stout, but I told you she's still smooth in her muscle pattern and looks like a good female does. I call her structure very good, but if I'm going to get critical, she does want to snap those ankles just a little bit when she takes off and goes, and I don't read her feet quite as big probably as some of the cattle honestly on either side of her. Is she in the mix from just a breeding value standpoint? 100%. I would like to just perfect her hind leg just a shot better. Going to be honest with you, I told you this heifer right here in class. Her feet and her legs make her stand out amongst an elite set of cattle. I'd love to have 100 built like her. Be honest with you, I'd love to just have one built like her. Her feet and her legs are soft, they're big, they bend and they flex, and she's got true reach and range of motion when this heifer goes in motion. When we talk about balance and how a female needs to look from the side, her balance is incredible because of her feet and legs are so good. Her top line is dead center. Her hips got some length in it, flexibility. When she takes off and goes, she's deep and swoopy right through the center part of her body, and her neck sets high. I think if we're going to say where could we make her better, yeah, she's got just a little chin and throat, and maybe at times she wants to sag in her top line, and she's not as bold there at the top part of her rib. I'm going to tell you, in my experience, cattle with just a little extra throat and a little extra leather up front like that usually feed, they stay sound, they get big and wolfy as big breds, and I think that one is going to have an incredibly bright future ahead of her. She's got some out there pieces that are extremely good. We get back here to this last class winner, and I told you, from the side, this thing has got some kind of a look. She truthfully runs uphill from the side, and that is tough to do. And I know we all want to make cattle tall-fronted and good-looking up front, but I'm not going to sacrifice knee, shoulder, and front foot, and we don't give up any ground there. She is beautiful in the way her feet and her legs go to the ground. She's beautiful in the set to her feet. They're at the corners, but they're square and within her framework, and that allows her balance to be as good as what it is. As we step here and study, and what makes this heifer unique, her neck is long, but her head is still strong, and as we work back, her shoulder's flat, and she has got an incredible turn to the top part of her rib. I said, guys, she's not just big bellied. This thing has got a big barrel in her, and she matched it from behind with a lot of power. At the base of her ankle, she's not as big as probably cattle, right ahead of her, and this heifer right here, but I still think relative to her group, and she's still going to stand out from a stoutness standpoint. I call her feet, I call her legs very, very stout. They match her body, and her balance is extremely good. The guys, it's been an incredible show. I always do this every time I show. I want to say hi to my family back home. They're chopping ice, I'm sure, and trying to get the heater working in the house. So I love you guys. I'll call you when this deal's over. I always travel with my girlfriend Madison. I'm glad she's here, and I'm glad she made the trip. It's always a memorable trip to the National Western, and this is my second round here this time. I'm always excited every time I leave the National Western for the next year and ready to come back and see what's bigger and better than ever. Incredible event, incredible cattle, and incredible kids. Thanks again, guys. I'll go ahead and pick your top 5. Let's give them a big round of applause.
So your grant is going to come from class number 6. That is Jake King, and that'll bring in Jet Jameson. And your reserve is going to be Kelton Arthur with Nelly. That will then bring in Vienna Sales. And the third place overall is going to go to Peyton Rogers with heifer 586. That will then bring in Tessa Delmore. Fourth overall is going to come from class number 6. Congratulations to Jet Jameson. And fifth overall, Kennedy Arthur with the Press Cleopatra 503 NET. Congratulations to those winners. How about a round of applause for all of our exhibitors here today? We'll say thanks to Comet Spirit Health is proud to be the presenting partner and the official first aid provider of the National Western, as Comet Spirit is committed to unleashing the healing power of humanity through human kindness. Learn more at mountain.cometspirit.org.